The unsettling digital notification flashed across my monitor at Meridian Transoceanic without a specified agenda, indicating only an urgent mandatory virtual assembly that felt like an ominous summons to a corporate execution. Before my morning tea could even cool, Alistair, the CEO's 20-something son, who owed his entire career to blatant nepotism, strutted into the room with an insufferable smirk, as if the rest of us were merely disposable props in his grand theatrical debut. Clasping his manicured hands together like a slick motivational speaker, Alistair announced that the firm was entering an era of radical optimization that required immediate structural streamlining. In front of 80 stunned colleagues, 5 interns, and an administrative clerk eating breakfast in the back, he coldly declared that my entire risk management department was being liquidated, and my personal duties absorbed effective immediately. I sat in absolute frozen tranquility for 3 long seconds without breaking eye contact or altering my posture, even as a digital notification confirmed that my security credentials had been instantly deactivated. As 2 burly security guards I had known for a decade awkwardly escorted me out, I gathered my few personal items, including a resilient bonsai tree, and offered Alistair a sweet but razor-sharp warning about the perils of absorbing 12 years of intricate maritime regulatory law. I had only made it as far as the grand marble atrium, when the elderly majority shareholder, Arthur Sterling, came rushing down the corridor with his hands trembling from sheer unadulterated panic. Ignoring the surrounding chaos, Arthur grabbed the CEO tightly by his custom-tailored sleeve and ordered him in a hushed, terrifying whisper to drag me back into the office before I could make a single phone call to outside entities. Alistair merely laughed at the old man's anxiety, dismissing my specialized regulatory position as a simple bureaucratic function that could easily be replicated by their new automated systems. He remained entirely oblivious to the reality that I had spent over a decade constructing a complex web of legal fail-a-fees designed to protect the company from this exact brand of reckless executive incompetence. Less than 3 hours later, I found myself sitting through a tense, hastily arranged reconciliation lunch in a pretentiously decorated private dining room that the firm normally reserved for pacifying angry investors. The CEO offered a strained plastic smile while Alistair condescendingly sipped an artisanal beverage, offering me a superficial independent consulting role under the delusion that this entire crisis was merely about my wounded feelings. I maintained a polite, impenetrable silence as they spoke, letting them bury themselves deeper in empty corporate jargon, while an entirely separate crisis was quietly brewing 2 floors below. A high-ranking inspector from the International Maritime Safety Bureau had just dispatched an urgent directive to the legal team, demanding my explicit cryptographic validation for the Q4 renewal of the lucrative Trans-Pacific Avionics Charter before the close of business. The junior legal associate, who was undoubtedly already updating his resume in a panic, frantically messaged the boardroom to inform the executives that my abrupt termination had triggered an immediate operational freeze. The federal authorities clarified with brutal simplicity that the entire global charter was legally tethered to my individual license number rather than the company's corporate entity, rendering the firm in total breach without my active signature as Alistair's phone buzzed relentlessly and the color visibly drained from his face. I calmly slid an index card across the polished table with the words Codex 88 written in bold ink. I looked directly into his eyes and explained that I had hard-coded this precise administrative fail-a-fay years ago, specifically to prevent arrogant, uneducated heirs from driving the multi-billion-dollar enterprise into a smoking crater. Leaving the stunned executives to suffocate in their own panic, I stood up, adjusted my coat, and walked out past a sea of whispering colleagues who could sense the shifting tides of power. Upon arriving at my quiet home office, I immediately logged into a secure air-gapped server framework known as the Prime Anchor Project, which the rest of the company had long forgotten even existed. This proprietary database, which I had authored from scratch under the previous administration, governed every international shipping waiver, multi-agency override, and regulatory clearance code the firm relied upon to operate daily. With a few definitive keystrokes, I executed a terminal script that permanently revoked all external administrative overrides, effectively putting the entire network to sleep under my exclusive unshareable digital signature. Next, I transmitted an encrypted message to my loyal former assistant, Clara, who possessed the precision and steel-nerved resolve necessary to execute our pre-arranged contingency protocols. By midnight, systemic database failures began cascading through Meridian's network, causing automated logistics chains across 3 continents to grind to a sudden and costly halt. Alistair desperately attempted to downplay the widening disaster by posting vague corporate updates on the company's internal communication channels, but his empty buzzwords could not mask the mounting financial damage. Sensing the perfect opportunity, I forwarded my extensive credentials to Horizon Maritime, a hungry and aggressive competitor that had been waiting for years to seize Meridian's market dominance. By Wednesday morning, the crisis escalated dramatically when an executive from a major military cargo client demanded my immediate presence on an emergency conference call to verify our safety logs. Alistair nervously lied to the client by claiming I was away on an extended medical sabbatical, but the seasoned representative abruptly cut him off and announced that an official suspension protocol would be initiated by nightfall. Infuriated by his loss of control, Alistair foolishly terminated Clara the following afternoon, citing organizational optimization as a pathetic excuse for his own mounting desperation. He failed to realize that severing Clara from the payroll effectively erased the very last internal employee who possessed even a basic understanding of how to read the locked regulatory ledgers. A young, stressed IT technician named Marcus quietly emailed my personal account later that evening, desperately begging for a backdoor administrative password to salvage their collapsing infrastructure. I politely declined to answer his message, choosing instead to pour a glass of wine while reviewing a highly lucrative multi-year executive consulting agreement that had just arrived from Horizon Maritime. Meridian's accounting department soon discovered that without my monthly cryptographic validation, millions of dollars in vital government infrastructure subsidies had been automatically frozen at the source. The entire organization began to groan under the crushing weight of its leadership's arrogance, completely unaware that I was already orchestrating a seamless transition of their clients from the comfort of my home. An urgent closed-door board meeting was called late Thursday night, where a thick courier envelope containing an official federal investigation notice was placed in the center of the mahogany table like a live grenade. The elder Arthur Sterling read the devastating terms of Codex 88 aloud, forcing the trembling CEO to accept that the company was facing ruin unless they could somehow secure my personal endorsement. While the executives were trapped in their high-security war room, I was enjoying a quiet dinner with the regional director of maritime procurement to finalize the reallocation of the frozen shipping permits. The director openly commended my foresight and confirmed that Horizon Maritime would be granted full custody of the transoceanic routes the moment Meridian's breach became official. In a final act of desperation, the CEO placed me on speakerphone during the active board meeting, weeping openly as he begged me to return to the firm under any financial terms I desired. I remained entirely silent on the line, listening with serene detachment as Alistair made a pathetic final attempt to blame the entire catastrophe on outdated software legacy codes before Arthur Sterling angrily ordered him to shut his mouth. The annual shareholder gala the following evening transformed into a corporate execution when the main projector displayed Horizon Maritime as the new exclusive primary contractor for the global shipping network. I walked into the grand ballroom flanked by federal inspectors, watching in absolute calm as the board of directors voted unanimously to strip Alistair of his title and have him immediately escorted from the building by security. Standing amidst the ruins of the dynasty that had discarded me, I stepped into my new reality, knowing that true authority is never inherited, but rather built line by line in the quiet spaces where value cannot be erased. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you. Following the ultimate downfall of Alistair and the structural collapse of Meridian Transoceanic, the corporate landscape shifted permanently toward those who actually possess the expertise to govern it. While the reckless executives scrambled to hire high-priced legal teams to mitigate their seven-figure federal fines, I quietly assumed my new executive position at Horizon Maritime, transforming their newly acquired shipping routes into the most efficient and compliant network in the industry. Ultimately, the downfall of the old dynasty served as a stark reminder to the entire industry that corporate titles and inherited wealth are completely meaningless without a foundational knowledge of the system.